on, everybody? This is Jordan Jean-Louis back with another episode of the JoJo Sports Talk Show. Season 2, episode I believe 6. But crazy week, man. And we got my co-host Justin Mason. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Just man, it's like where do we start, man? Where do we start?
That's a good question. There's a lot going on. Preseason football is always a good topic. Football in general is always a good topic.
Hey, I can't wait for the season, man. But yeah, you're right. So so the NFL. So last week of the preseason coming up. Since there's already, I think there was 4 games, but I guess they switched it to 3 games, which I like. So, but a lot of people think that the preseason is worthless, but I disagree because that's a time for you to get your team and chemistry. You know, even though they don't count for your record, like the wins and losses, I feel like it's important to have like that chemistry going, especially like last year, since like we didn't really have practices and training camp last year, so there's a lot of but that comes with injuries,
right?
So it's like a lose-win situation. But
yeah, I see the benefits of preseason, but I also see it as a kind of an unnecessary evil. I mean, yes, you're seeing players and you're seeing what they can do, but you're really not seeing what they can do because defenses are playing soft, offenses are playing soft, because you don't really want to give away your schemes.
Right.
So, I mean, I see it as a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But then again, it comes with like coaches deciding who they want to start for week 1, and I think they have to cut the team down to like 50. Well, I think I heard it's like 80 by cut down to 80 by the week by the preseason, the last, and then cut up to 53 by like week 1. Mm-hmm. So that's it gives a coach the opportunity to look at their rookies coming in. But then again, for our team Ravens, we have Rashard Bateman, right, for example, and in training camp he went down with a groin injury. So then again, coaches want to see their who they drafted, and but then it comes with protecting them too. Like at the same time, like if you have a top 10, pick, you want to preserve that pick for the season. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
But it's hard because we have to evaluate. Could have to evaluate them to see how they do. But I think it has to cut. I think they have to cut the team down to 53 by the week 1. So it's coming down to the very, very end with the preseason. So they have to make their decisions quick, man. And
yeah.
But let's talk about NFL first, man. With these QBs, we have a situation in Chicago and in San Fran. Let's start with Chicago, man. So the situation is Nagy. What's his first name? I think Phil Matt Nagy. Yeah. So he's deciding who he wants. Whether they want Justin Fields or Andy Dalton. And I mean, what do you think, man? What do you think Andy Dalton should start? Or
so there are reports coming out of Chicago that Dalton was actually promised the starting position. Now, I don't know how much I believe that, because in negotiations, you're going to promise them the world. You're going to tell them you could, sell them oceanfront property in Arizona if you had to, just to get them there, because that's who you want. But I think that Fields still needs to develop. So, I mean, I think Dalton's going to be the starter for week 1. Will he be the starter at the end of the year? I don't think so. I think you're going to have a situation like you had in Miami last year. You're going to see Dalton for the first few weeks. That way, Fields can actually grasp the playbook, because I can't remember what game I was watching this past weekend, but they were actually talking about the playbook and how more in depth an NFL playbook is than a college playbook, because you don't have those visual. A lot of colleges, you see them holding up the the press boards and stuff like that. You don't do that in NFL. So I think you need to give Fields a few weeks to actually grasp the playbook, watch what Dalton does, and if they go 0-4, they go 0-4. But put Fields in, week 5, 6, 7, something like that. But let Dalton start the year.
I mean, then it comes down to like an injury. Like, what if Dalton gets hurt? Then the hand is dealt with, like with Fields. But how do you feel about the comments that Dalton made a couple weeks ago, saying how it's his time? I mean, obviously he said that Justin Fields is a terrific quarterback and he's gonna start eventually, but it's my time. Like, how do you feel about? Do you think it's selfish on his part, or do you think it's or do you think that he's right? Like, he needs to shine now, and then let him shine, and then let Justin Fields come in. Like,
no, I think he's absolutely right, and like I said, I feel like Andy Dalton probably got promised, hey, you're the starting quarterback. You're the quarterback that we want, no matter who we draft in the draft, anything like that. You're the guy that we want. So, I mean, him saying that it's his time is just solidifying what he was told when he signed. This is your team, at least for the first few weeks. I don't think it's selfish at all. I mean, I wouldn't go into my job and, look at somebody and say, well, hey, here you go. It's your time. You can have my job. Because what does that do? I'm unemployed now. So it's not like that for the NFL, of course. You're still going to get paid your guaranteed money.
Right.
But, anywhere else, if you walk into your job and you go, hey, I'm giving somebody else my job, see ya, you're out of job. You're unemployed. So I think he's proven what he is when he played in Cincinnati, or else he'd still be in Cincinnati. He's an average quarterback. He's not the strong arm guy. I mean, he still has an arm behind him, but he's not the guy that he was in TCU because, I mean, he was playing soft defenses at TCU. He was in the Mountain West. So, I mean, I don't think it's selfish at all.
I mean, I can kind of agree on that, but I feel like because I watched Sports Center and Thursday, and they were saying how his opportunity to his chance to shine was when he was in Dallas, and he didn't do crap in Dallas. Like, I mean, obviously, it sucks that Dak Prescott, he went down with that gruesome ankle injury, which he's, I think, almost 100% recovered from. But I mean, I can agree that on that side that that was his chance to get his limelight in Dallas, which is the America's football team. You know what I'm saying? And but you're right. Like, I feel like if I was, for instance, if I was working at a job, working there for 5 to 10 years, and you're the newbie coming in, knowing that I've done a good job at my job, right? And you coming in as a newbie and you're taking my position,
right. I
mean, I would feel kind of pissed off, but then again, like I told you a couple weeks ago, we are in a new league where, I mean, Dalton, he's kind of he can run, but with the ball, but we're in a league where it's like a hybrid, quarterback league now with Lamar Jackson, Mahomes. You got, who else? I guess Burrows, but he had that knee injury. But I mean, it comes to a time where we have to start the young talent. But I agree. Justin should sit for a couple games, learn the playbook, and that's what Mahomes did when Alex Smith was starting the quarterback in Kansas City. He was behind QB2 behind Alex Smith. Alex Smith went down, and then Mahomes stepped up. But obviously, he wasn't as great but now look, he's the face of the franchise.
Right.
So I
face
feel
of the NFL almost.
Huh?
Face of the NFL almost.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. And but same situation. Even though Alex Smith has a better track record than Andy Dalton when it comes to wins and his abilities, I think that it's the same situation in Chicago. I feel like, I wouldn't say sit him out for the whole year. The rookie, maybe get him mid because we have that extra game. So I would say, let him know the playbook. But we saw that preseason game, we got freaking rocked.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes to a time where the rookies have to sit back, enjoy the ride. And I feel like Andy Dalton, he's a good leader. He's a good veteran quarterback. But I mean, I'm excited to see Justin Fields play, man. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are saying, well, just let him sit out until the bye week. Their bye week is, I think, week 9 or week 10. So, I mean, that's the middle of the season or so. But I don't think they're going to let him sit that long. I think they're going to give him 4 or 5 weeks on the bench and then bring him out.
Right. Do you think that? Do you think the Bears? Who's under? I think the Vikings are in the division. The Lions, right?
Vikings, Lions, and Packers. Yeah.
Packers. Do you see them? Doing good in the. I know we did our divisional winners last, but do you think? Okay, when you put the two quarterbacks, do you see if the Bears start Fields week 1, do you see them winning more games if he's in compared to Dalton?
No. He's coming out of Ohio State, so he's used to more of a pistol option offense like that. And they'll put in some packages for him to do that, but they're going to want him to run a pro style offense. So I think if he started week 1, they might be a non-win team. Might be. Just because, you're playing 2 established quarterbacks 4 times a year. You're playing Aaron Rodgers and you're playing Kirk Cousins 2 times a year. And you're playing Jared Goff, but I don't think Jared Goff is going to have a good year this year with the Lions. But, if you go 1-5 in those games, that's 5 losses already. You're looking at a 12-5 record, and I don't see them winning double-digit games. Not with Justin Fields, not with Andy Dalton either. Honestly,
right. They got. I don't. To be honest, I don't know any of the other than Fields and Dalton. Is Alshon Jeffrey still on the team, or Alshon Jeffrey he's on the Eagles?
I think he's with Eagles. Last I checked,
I don't know.
He was last year.
Yeah, I don't know anyone on the offensive side, other than I don't know any receivers. I know Khalil Mack's on the team, so I feel like their defense might be good, but I have to say these reporters are trying their hardest to get some information on these QB. I don't know if you saw on ESPN, one of the reporters asked Kyle Shanahan who's starting week 1, and he's like, I'm not telling y'all right now. I'm not telling y'all. I'm gonna wait. He's like, oh, you don't know. I know, but I'm not gonna tell y'all. But so let's move on to the 49ers. Who do you see the same situation in San Fran, or it's different?
I feel like Trey Lance will start week 1. He was the 3rd overall pick. Jimmy Garoppolo is just way too injury prone. And, like we said earlier, we're coming out of a pocket passer league. And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is he is a straight pocket passer. So, I see Trey Lance starting week 1.
Okay. I feel like it's a different scenario. I feel like, or I would say start Jimmy G for a little bit, maybe week 1 or 2, week 3. Same situation. Let Trey Lance learn the playbook a little bit, and then get him starting early.
Yeah,
because there's no point in wasting all that good talent first year, especially with Justin Fields too. They both. Oh, we have Fields. We got Trevor Lawrence. We have Trey Lance. We have who's that quarterback in the Jets?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. He's a pocket passer too, but
yeah, but that's what Bill Belichick looks for.
You're right. Well, Cam, he's kind of he's a pocket passer, but when he was in his prime, he was a runner too. But who's that that young quarterback on the Jets.
Zach Wilson.
He's good too, man.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to like these like the young talent in the league, especially with the NBA, I think we're in good hands with the NFL, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still got Lamar Jackson still like 24, 25. Like Mahomes, we got him. And we got these young Trevor Lawrence. He's a pocket passer in a sense too. But he's more
got
like
some legs, though.
Yeah, oh no. Like he got some legs too, but like, he's more of like, he's tall and lengthy.
Yeah.
Lengthy. But so you say you would rather start Trey Lance first and then Justin?
Yeah, I mean, as high as you picked Trey Lance, I mean, 1, 2, and 3, I feel like are going to start week 1. I feel like Trevor Lawrence is going to start week 1. Zach Wilson is going to start week 1. And I just feel like Trey Lance is going to start week 1. I mean, you don't take a quarterback that high and not start him week 1.
Yeah, definitely true, man. Let me see. So do you think that so who do you have winning that division again? Like the San Francisco?
I had the Rams winning the division and the Seahawks taking the wild card. No, I take that back. I had the Rams winning the division and the Chargers taking the wild card because of Justin Herbert. And then I had the Seahawks third and the 49ers fourth.
Interesting. So with these, so what about this whole? So we have the LA teams, we have the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the Rams this year, man? With Matthew Stafford, man, do you think that he can carry them?
Oh yeah,
this year.
I think this change of scenery is what Stafford is needed. He's always been a good quarterback, but he's never been an elite quarterback. But the only weapon that he's really had around him was Calvin Johnson. And Calvin Johnson was one of those wide receivers who he was a great wide receiver when he was on the field. But, I mean, he had, I think it was either a hip or a knee injury. And after that injury, he just wasn't the same player.
Mm.
And so I think when you lose a dynamic receiver like that, of course you're going to take, a step back. And I think this move was coming, and I think this move is going to be honestly what's best for Matthew Stafford, and I think he's going to shine this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, he's always been like ever since Megatron retired or I was like Matthew Stafford. He was garbage in Detroit because he didn't have the pieces around him.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it'd be a lot different, and especially with that new stadium, that SoFi Stadium.
Yeah,
new stadium, new atmosphere. LA. I mean, I feel like they do good, but do you think do you think that he can carry them to a Super Bowl this year?
The Super Bowl, no. I don't feel like the Rams are a Super Bowl team without Matthew Stafford. I mean, you have a dynamic wide receiver like Cooper Kupp, and you have, I think it was Robert Woods, but I really don't know anybody on their running game. I'd have to study that. I think Darrell Henderson, I think is what it was. But no, I think Matt Stafford is one of those play action quarterbacks. So he really needs to rely on the run to be able to sell, just like Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee. He needs that play action. He needs to kind of give that defense an uncertainty. And I don't think he can do that this year. Now he'll have a winning record, I think, but I don't think they're Super Bowl bound.
I mean, they got two probably the greatest players on defense. So they got Rams and they got Donald. I mean, they see defense wins championships. I mean, do you think that their defense, even though if Stafford doesn't do good or If he does, do you think it's a decent step? Because do you think their defense will carry them better than their offense because they got Donald and they got Ramsey?
I mean, we've seen it happen before. I mean, you think back to Peyton Manning's last year with the Broncos. I mean, he had, I think in the regular season, he had 9 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. Peyton Manning did, and they won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it can happen. But I think Matthew Stafford is too dynamic of a quarterback, even at this age and at this stage in his career, to really let his team down like that. I think the defense could carry them, but there are so many other teams in the NFC. I mean, you have to get past the Buccaneers. I mean, you have to get past the Packers. I just don't think they have the firepower to do that.
Mm. Do you think that I mean that's a good. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they have. I then they got Keenan Allen, right? Their wide receiver.
I would have to look that up. I don't think they. Let's see. They have Cooper Kupp. The Rams do. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. I don't see Keenan Allen on here.
Or something Allen. I think it was something Allen, or maybe he got traded. I'm not sure.
It looks like they have Deshaun Jackson.
Oh, I never knew that. Maybe he got picked out in free agency.
I was gonna say I think they picked him up this year.
Yeah, I mean they got a good, I guess, receiving core. Cooper Kupp. Yeah, I mean, so is there anything we missed in the NFL? Anything else we missed or didn't go cover? Oh, yeah, I want to talk about. I know you heard about the Jeopardy situation with the whole host not, want to do the show, and I think Aaron was on a radio podcast just like this, and then someone asked him, "Hey, do you think if a job opened up to be a host, do you think you would be it?" And Aaron was like, "If they work around my schedule." I mean, so what does that mean? So that answer, what does that mean for his future with the Packers?
I think regardless, he's done with the Packers after this year. He's already negated his option for 2023. So, it's like I've said multiple times on the show. I think if he wins the Super Bowl this year with the Packers, he retires. And I think if he loses, he goes to another team. But I mean, he didn't do Jeopardy for no reason. He's really kind of making a path for when he retires from the NFL. And I think he would be, good in a Tony Romo role, be a color commentator for a network. And I think there are a lot of networks who will pick him up.
Right.
I don't think that means anything right now, but I mean, he's really kind of making his path for the future.
If I saw a report saying that, that means he might go to the Raiders, Las Vegas, because it's like a 45-minute private jet ride to California where they host the show.
Well, I mean, I've said all along that he might go to the 49ers.
Yeah, right.
That's in California.
Right. It's going to be an interesting offseason next year, man. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I looked to the NBA, man. So I looked up this people who have Netflix, the show called the documentary called Malice in the Palace, and this happened before I was born, way before I was born, probably when you were probably a teenager, a little kid. For whoever, what happened was it was I think it was a season game against the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons. Now the Detroit Pistons, they were freaking nasty, man. They had Ben Wallace, they had Chauncey Billups, they had like Tayshaun Prince, they had Richard Hamilton. But Indiana, they had some dogs too. They had Reggie Miller, they had Ron Artest, and then they had Jermaine O'Neal. Then they traded for or signed Steven Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And like for people who go to sports games globally or in the states over here, the reason why we have security,
Yeah.
on court security, guarding the players is because of the situation. So what happened was, I believe, um, I think Ben was going for a layup and Ron Artest held him for a tough foul. Everything was fine. Well, they started charging each other. Players started, fighting. And Ron Artest, with his crazy self, laid on the table and with his, arms up, just chilling, just because
Yeah.
apparently he went through some anxiety issues and depression like throughout his career.
Yeah.
Had like a NBA team, like psychiatric person to evaluate him. And well, at the time his name is Ron Artest, but he switched his name to Meta World Peace because I guess he wants to be a peaceful human being now. But back in that, huh?
Because why not?
Why not? But this situation, like, this is the reason why we have freaking tight security.
Yeah.
So what happened was, a random fan. Well, he's not random. His name is John Green. They found the dude that threw the beer. So the fan threw the beer at Runner Test, and Runner Test he charged up the up the freaking steps, hit the fan, he threw the beer. Like Steven Jackson and Jermaine O'Neal, they're all boys, so like they were protecting them, and I think nothing would have transpired that night if that beer wasn't thrown. Like no one seen the documentary. I mean, or it could have been a huge brawl, but that beer that because everything kind of seemed to boil down was calm until and then a random ass fan hopped into the court and I think Ron Artest like hit him. I think he was in the documentary too, but and people were saying that like Stephen A. Smith when he was young and all these other reporters were saying that these thugs. Like, how do you feel about that, man? Like, cause it's not thug mentality when apparently the people who are on the court together, they're all friends. Mm-hmm. Like, cause they're saying like friends off the court, enemies on the court, and they were all tight and stuff. And the fans, like even Reggie Miller was like, fans don't know when you're pointing, when you're doing this or like doing this. Like they were all tight. Fans didn't know that, and it comes to find out that all these like sports analysts were saying straight thugs, because even though they were protecting their team, you know what I'm saying? Both sides were. So this was all a mess, man. What do you think about this? I mean, I know you haven't watched the documentary, but now you're kind of getting it now. Like,
I remember watching the game because it was on ESPN.
Oh, the actual game, live game?
Yeah. I was, I think, I was in high school, I know, when it happened, but, and I remember a report coming out where Ben Wallace said that Artest warned him, "Hey, I'm fixing to slap you in the back of the head." So, and that's kind of what, I'm not going to say that's what started it, but, I don't think I mean, we had an issue in the NBA this year with fans, throwing stuff at players when they're walking into the tunnel and stuff like that. And it's like you said, this is why we have security at games, to protect the players, but to protect the fans.
Yeah, because there was, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no whatever security. There was no courtside security there. Like there was no security. I remember in the documentary they had to call like 911. They had a situation at the fucking at the palace.
Yeah,
come help us now. Like come now.
Right.
There was nobody at the freaking at the game to protect anybody.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as the thug comment, it was out of line. I mean, regardless of if it was said because of race or if it was said because of, whatever actions, whatever it is, there was no sense in it. It was even back then.
Mm.
Um, so I disagree with that. I mean, people are gonna, when you have beers flowing and tempers flaring, and you're seeing guys on the court getting pissed off, and you're getting mad about a call, and you're drunk and all, you're gonna do stupid stuff.
Right, right.
But as far as saying thug mentality and this and that, I think that was out of line.
Well, apparently, because the Pistons were whooping. I mean, the Pistons were whooping the Pistons' ass. They're up by like 15 or 20. And the thing is, I
Yeah.
think in the documentary they said that more than half the season ticket holders left the game.
Hmm.
So all the drunk fans were up in the Raptors,
Yeah.
came down, trickled down to like the
Hmm.
court side, and that's when it got crazy.
Right.
And I mean, there was worse words that were thrown out, like animal. These animals should be out of the league. And of course, David Stern at the time brought down some hefty punishment.
Hmm.
Runner Test was suspended for the whole season.
Yep.
I think Jermaine O'Neal was this is just for the NBA, not freaking legally. So I think Jermaine O'Neal got suspended like 25 games. I think he got 30 games. And I think Steven Jackson got 25 games. That's the NBA's rule, like laws and stuff. But legally,
Hmm.
when they put out the tape, because there was all this tape. They looked at the tape, and I think Jermaine O'Neal got to like appeal his suspension, or because they didn't see anything wrong with what he did. He was protecting his players and making sure everything was fine. And I think this is crazy, man. Just everything that was just from watching the documentary, like shit got out of hand real quick, man. And like even when they were the security was trying to, like even the cop was trying to maze Ray, like Jackson or Miller,
Yeah.
because I think he was hurt, and Ray was like, "What the hell, dude? Like, why the cop trying to maze me? I'm part of the team. I'm not a fan." And then there was a time when they're trying to transport the players to like the locker room, and they had that whole side blocked off. Fans were blocking them off from getting to the locker room, like
Yeah.
in that tunnel. People were throwing beers and anything they could. I think there was a chair that was thrown too, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about this too, not only the suspensions, but with them being suspended. I mean, how much money did they lose? I mean, I think Ron Artest lost like $5 million that year of his salary. So I mean, you're not only hitting them where it hurts; they don't get to play the game that they love to play, that they've worked their entire life to be at this level of, but you're taking money out of their pockets too.
Jermaine O'Neal, like he was pissed, man, because he's all about winning and he's all about like being professional, and like
Yeah.
he was pissed, man. And then again, another layer to it. I think Ron Artest went to the Lakers and won a championship
Hmm.
the following year, and then Steven Jackson and like the team's like, "What the hell, dude? You're leaving us. You're just that's kind of pushing what happened to the side." I mean, yeah, congrats on the championship, but what about us, man? Like, you're the one that kind of like started this whole thing by fouling Ben Wallace. Like,
Yeah, I mean, but you can see both sides. I mean, I don't know that he would have stayed regardless of the suspension. I think at that time, like it is now, the Lakers were the destination if you wanted to win a championship, because you had Kobe on that team, and he had built a team around him, much like LeBron has this year. So I mean, I don't know that he left because of the suspension. That might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, but it did look to his teammates like, okay, you're leaving us hanging because of the suspension. What's going on?
so like you said, you watched the game on ESPN. Like,
Mhm.
so did they show everything? Like the brawl? Like, did they go to commercial break, or they did they show everything that happened, like that transpired after that foul, like on
For the
live
most
TV?
part, from what I remember. But at the same time, when it got violent, then everybody's like, okay, let's step back from this. Much like a gruesome injury in football, they're going to go to a commercial. But you have to come back to the game within a specific amount of time. So I mean, they of course came back, and it was still hitting the fan. So, but for the most part, I mean, they did show a good bit of it. So
It's funny, man. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny because like
it is though. I mean, because we're still talking about it 15 years later.
Like when that happened, like what year did that happen?
2004, I think.
Oh, 2004. So I was probably like what, pre-K probably at the time. Like
You make me feel old.
man, now it's like watching the documentary. Like you should watch the documentary there because like
yeah,
apparently like they were heated, man. Like and like everyone thought that at that point in time, like, when that beer bottle was thrown or that cup of beer was thrown, that's when shit escalated. That's when shit, because when you have it's like two walls, the players, the fans. Fans are not supposed to interact with players, man.
Right.
And that's, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe if the Bears shit still escalates, but I feel like that point in time and that second and that milliframe of that event, it transpired. And like,
yeah.
And but like you don't see that happening now in the league. Like, oh my, now people would. I mean, yeah, you see popcorn being thrown and water bottles being thrown, but
not to that extent, though.
I think the closest we've gone to something like that was the Oakley situation a couple years ago. Charles Oakley in MSG. That was crazy too. And I think he got banned from the MSG for that. Yeah, so let's brush it to the side. I just wanted to let the fans know that's why that when you go to games, there's security on four corners of every angle. So and staff. But yeah. So what do you think about? So who's your NBA? Who's your NBA favorite, man? Like, who's your NBA like to get to the finals this year, man?
I mean, you've got to look at the Lakers, just because of everything that they've done in the offseason. The only thing that kind of throws me off of their scent is, not knowing where they're going to be chemistry-wise. And you just kind of look at what LeBron did with the Heat that first year. They didn't make the finals that first year. So you kind of wonder if you're going to be in the same boat there. But I do think the Lakers will be one of the teams to beat in the West. I think the Suns will be one of the teams to beat in the West also. Because I think they're gonna want to kind of taste that success that they had this past year. I think the 76ers have a chance. But with this Ben Simmons situation, I really don't know what they're going to do with him, but you have to look at the Bucks too. I mean, they're the defending champions. They're the favorites in the East, and they're even the favorites to win the NBA Finals again. So I'll look at probably Lakers Bucks or Suns Bucks again.
I mean, that's the question I'm going to ask you. Like, do you think the Suns and the Bucks are the top favorite to get back to the final this year?
They have to be. I mean, they're the defending East and West champions. So, I mean, until somebody unseats them, they have to be the favorites, in my opinion. I mean, I think the Heat have kind of made some strides to be better. And of course, I always want to see the Hawks do well. But right now, I think it's trending towards either the Lakers and the Bucks or the Suns and the Bucks.
So give me your each team in the one team from the East, one team from the West. Who can obviously I think the Lakers can dethrone the Suns because it's all healthy
Mm-hmm.
and a new roster. But minus I guess you can say minus Russell and Carmelo and who what team give me one team from the West, one team from the East who can dethrone the East team, Suns and the Bucks, who can surprise them.
For
And then I'll give you mine after yours.
Okay. For the East, I would love to say the Hawks. I mean, just building on the momentum that they had last year. I would think the Hawks could potentially dethrone the Bucks.
You think the Hawks over the Nets in the East? Because I mean the Hawks are. I mean, like Trae Young, he's nice. I mean, but that's. I mean, they got like Collins. I mean, I know that's your team too, but
yeah.
I mean, do they have enough weapons around Trae Young in order to dethrone the Bucks and Giannis? Like,
well, I mean, we watched LeBron, and I'm not comparing Trae Young to LeBron,
right.
but we watched LeBron, carry those Cavaliers teams, so we know it's possible. And I mean, I think the Hawks will be better than fifth this year.
So when you say, because I know you don't want to compare LeBron and Young, which Young is a talented player, young player, but the difference between like LeBron and Young is Young can only play that one position, whereas LeBron can defend and help. He can play with the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I'm just saying that, like, when it comes to LeBron and like the reason why LeBron stepped up and help the Cavaliers was he could defend David West. He could have defended Klay Thompson, whereas Trae Young switched roles. If Young was on the Cavaliers, I don't think he would carry the Cavaliers, man, because he would need more pieces around him. But I'm not comparing the two because you can't compare them because LeBron's an all-around player and the Young is just that 1 or 2 spot. But I mean, I feel like with Collins and Capella, and I mean they got Bogdanovich, they got who else? They got they got Lacorder from Maryland.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Nets are close to. I mean, they were like what, a foot on the line from being being the winner of that game with KD with his shot. But I think KD, if they all stay healthy, I feel like the Nets can dethrone the Bucks, and they were this close away from beating them. And then in the West, I believe that it's going to be the Lakers, or I can see the Nuggets with a healthy Jamal Murray coming back.
Yeah, I think the Clippers take a step back this year.
Clippers take Justin. They take like 5 steps back, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, they got Kawhi and Paul. But then they shipped away Beverly to like 2 straight teams. Or what? I went to the Memphis, and I think to what's the other team he got traded to? Memphis to I gotta look.
I can't even remember off the top of my head.
But I don't know what they're doing, man. Like I don't know. But yeah, Clippers definitely took a couple steps back. But
I feel like Warriors will be a team to watch this year, though, if everybody stays healthy. I mean, you're getting Clay back.
Yeah.
So,
do you think that they have enough? If Clay stays healthy and continues his rehab and gets ready for October, do you think they have enough weapons to get to the finals or playoffs?
I mean, they've done it before. A lot of people say, well, they don't have Durant anymore. Well, they won their first championship without Durant. So, who do you have on your roster that can kind of fill that role. I mean, yeah, you got Steph and you've got Draymond, you've got Andre on your team too. So I mean, maybe he could take that.
And they got Wiseman too, the second year, but he got
Yeah,
an injury off an injury.
I think they picked up Wiggins too, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they got Wiggins.
So I mean, I think if everybody gets healthy and stays healthy, I think they could.
Like get to the finals or make it a deep run in the playoffs. I feel like they can dethrone the Phoenix.
I think they could. I think it could come down to the Warriors and the Lakers in the conference finals.
Western Conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
As long as everybody stays healthy.
Yeah, health is a word of the day. Health.
Yeah, with any team.
For sure. With any team, for sure. Speaking of basketball, we have Kobe Bryant. I think his birthday was today. Mm-hmm. He would have turned 43 today. Like what? Obviously, you're a lot older than me, but what were your best Kobe moments, man? Like growing up, man.
Just watching him change the game. I mean, there had been dynamic players, your Michael Jordans, your guys like that, but just watching him come out of high school and just be the player that he was, everybody wanted to be Kobe. I mean, to the extent where, we would play pickup basketball and you would shoot from three and you'd yell Kobe.
Just like kids are saying Curry now.
Exactly. So, right. I mean, just the way he changed the game, and he was LeBron before LeBron. He was that guy who said, hey, I want these pieces on my team. If you want to win a championship, this is what I need. And he got it. So, I mean, just the way he changed the game and even what he was outside of basketball. I mean, he was such a great father to his daughters, such a great example to kids who looked up to him.
Like, brother, did you watch any live games of him? Wow, that's a stupid question. Back in the day, like Shaquille O'Neal era, did you ever watch how you watch the Mouse and the Palace games? Or did you ever watch the old school Kobe?
I didn't live. At that time, I didn't really become a sports fan until high school. So, I mean, I did catch some, in his prime. And just to see, because you had Steve Nash in that time period too, who was a great point guard in his own right. But Kobe was just different. A lot of people say when Michael was playing, everybody rushed to the TV just to see what he was going to do. And it was the same with Kobe. I mean, everybody rushed to the TV to see what Kobe was going to do. I mean, I remember the 81-point game that he had. Just ridiculous things like that. So, yeah, he's top 5 on my list easily. Top 5 all time.
I mean, I was going to ask, where do you like all the barbershop talks, everyone on ESPN, everywhere, other sports podcasts, always, since I'm a big LeBron and Kobe supporter, but it's been LeBron or Jordan. What about Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron? So where do you, I was just going to ask you, where do you put Kobe on out of all time? Where do you put Kobe at on the list, man?
I mean, he's top 5 for me. I don't really
do you think he should deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. For sure. When it comes to just like you said, I wanted to see him live, but everything tickets were expensive, man. When Kobe was in town,
and he was
Yeah,
right.
I got to see LeBron live when he was on the Miami Heat, but just like you said, like he was, and it sucks because like he really was in his like second chapter of his life, just being that soft, caring, loving dad, seeing that side of him. Obviously, he was a soft father, whatever. When off camera, when we weren't, seeing him, but we saw his basketball mentality on the court. Like, but he was really in his second like life. You know what I'm saying? Like his daughter was about to be even his daughter was about to be a huge star.
Yeah.
Probably going to go to WNBA.
Yeah, she had been recruited to UConn, I think.
Yeah,
By
right,
Gina
right.
Auriemma.
Right, right. And just the fact that, like he, like you said, changed the game. Like literally, if you go on YouTube, look at videos of Kobe Bryant, and Jordan play, their
Yeah.
similarities were the same. Um, and just the fact that, Kobe, um, was just talented, man. Like speak several languages,
Well, they did it with
fluent.
one team too.
Did
That's
it
what
with one team, yeah.
you don't see that
Just
anymore.
just like Jordan,
Mhm.
in a sense, yeah. But like you, like it just sucks because the way he went out, like you don't want to go out like that,
Yeah,
random event like a helicopter crash, like
because he had so much more life to live. I mean, he,
right,
like you
and
said, he was.
especially all those people on the plane. I think it's 7 or 8 people on the plane. It's not just him, but it's just like so. Like yeah, let me ask you, like like you being a Kobe Bryant fan, what was your like immediate reaction to the news that broke? Like for me, when I saw the reports, like CNN broke it and like ESPN broke it, I was like, "Frick!" Like, there's no way, man.
I
I thought it
cried.
was a rumor.
Like I cried. I'm
Yeah,
not
me
even
too,
gonna lie.
man.
I
Me
mean
too,
it
bro.
because he was such a huge part of my childhood growing up, and I mean the same for me when like when I heard David Bowie died, just I never met him. He wouldn't know me from Adam, but he was such a part of my childhood growing up, and like I said, grew up watching him play, um, really in middle school and high school. Um, so yeah, I mean, I cried
I mean,
honestly.
yeah, that's okay to cry because like usually I don't cry unless like something bad happens or
Yeah,
whatever, like or like but first my first reaction was that's a joke, man. There's no way, bro. There's
yeah,
no way that could happen. Like and then like multiple CNN, well on my phone CNN broke the report.
hmm
Then I looked on like Instagram and like Facebook.
yeah,
But then I looked on the news, like CNN, like MSNBC, every news outlet was covering it, and I was like,
hmm
oh wow, it's legit. But I guess my best memory of Kobe was when he scored 61 points, right,
hmm
against the Jazz.
yeah,
Had a ACL, I think it was like his ACL, right, or his knee.
yeah,
And then he came back out and shot the free throws, man.
yeah. I mean, he was just a different type of player.
There's his work ethic too, like
hmm
always in the gym, always always working, always. And who knows, he might have been an ass to his players too, like just like Jordan was. I bet he was, like
Yeah.
because he had that same like Kobe Mamba mentality, like he had that cutthroat. He wants to take your heart out, you know.
Well, there were reports when he was kind of at the back end of his career, he would ask his coaching staff to find players if they were late to practice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, he was. I mean, he was very strict on guys, but he would always look at them and say, "Look, if you want to win, this is what you have to do. How do you think I got 5 titles?
Mm.
This is what you have to do." I mean, he was always the first in, first last out.
Yeah, and I didn't know until like recently that like I know California is like a big state,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that like the Staples Center and his home it wasn't that close. Like it was, you had to take like a helicopter.
Yeah.
And the thing about this incident that happened, like it's weird because like Kobe would take these trips back and forth several times, like back to the gym, to the stadium, in the helicopter, and he would be fine. But I guess this day, like it was foggy,
Just a freak accident.
a freak accident. Like I mean, and I think that because my friend, he's a Nets fan, and he went to that game where that picture of Kobe with his daughter, the very last picture, he was courtside. I think he was at that game, and like I think what happened was I think that he was on the way to Philly, and that's when I think LeBron passed him on the all-time scoring list. And LeBron, I think Kobe, when he was still alive, he tweeted, "LeBron, congrats, man, you passed me." And then the next morning, boom, he got on the plane, and it's crazy, man. But like, we can't really, be sad about it because he lived a good life. But it sucks that he was in the second chapter of his life, man, just starting out and supporting. I mean, I'm thinking he might have been a WNBA coach.
Yeah, he could have been.
But yeah, I mean, you can't really be sad now. I mean, obviously, you can still be sad because he's gone. But you have to look at his best moments, man.
Right.
I mean, I have NBA 2K, so I can play with him virtually. Like I can play, play with him, but I mean, there will never be just like Jordan. Like there will never be another Jordan. There'll never be another LeBron, and there'll never be another Kobe. Man.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there are people saying, well, will Bronny, LeBron's son, will he be the next LeBron? Will he be as good as LeBron? Will he be better? Who knows?
It's hard to tell, man. I mean, I can see it, but it's too early to tell. He's still young, but yeah, man. It's like it's crazy, man, and it's his birthday today too, man. His birthday. That's what also sucks too. Like, and plus the thing that that got me was he got inducted to the Hall of Fame, right? And coming into the NBA, every player's dream is to make it to the Hall of retire, right? And he wasn't there to make a speech. He wasn't at that table,
Yeah.
But yeah, you just got to move on and look at the better moments. But is there anything else we're going to cover today, or anything we missed?
I mean, we can touch on the MLB races.
Oh, let's do that. I know me and your team play today.
Yep. 2-game series with the Yankees and the Braves. At best, I think they might split it.
Think so? Yeah.
I think the advantage goes to the Braves because it's in Atlanta, and you don't have the DH in Atlanta, which is what the Yankees are used to. And I mean, the Braves are hot right now, riding a 9-game win streak. I think the only disadvantage for the Braves is they're going home. And that sounds odd, but they've played so much better on the road than they have at home. So I don't think either team will sweep personally. I think they'll split it.
I mean, like, we've been hot too, man. Like, our bets have been rocking, man. We got that dude, Andrew Velasquez, the shortstop.
Yeah.
Bronx native. We got Luke Voigt, got Rizzo coming back off of the COVID-19 list. It's gonna be a good one, but I mean, I don't know. I want to say split because it's only a 2-game series, but I don't know. I'm thinking it's sweet, man. But then again, I haven't really watched the Braves like that because, like, other than if they're on ESPN, I can't watch them unless I can't. It's just out of market. But I mean, I have to go with their word. I mean, they're hot too. Which I mean, the record, are they looking good with
They're
the record?
68 and 56. They're 5 games ahead of the Phillies in the East, I think. Yeah, 5 games ahead of the Phillies in the East. So I mean, they've really caught fire after the All-Star break. I mean, they were under 500 for so long, which everybody in the East was struggling. But yeah, I mean, of course, losing Ronald Acuna is a huge, huge deal. But I mean, picking up a guy like Jock Peterson, getting Soler, getting what was his name? Adam Duvall from the Marlins. Getting those 3 guys really, it doesn't take Acuna's place because he's such a dynamic player, but it really makes up for what they lost.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a 2-game. It's going to be a good 2-game series for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I know we didn't cover this much, but how do you feel about like the Houston Astros, man? With the whole situation, like with the whole like stealing and or cheating, like. Do you think that I mean, me being a Yankee fan, like ever since like that happened, and currently now I'm still pissed because we obviously played him in the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
And even Judge came out and was like, "Yo, like we should have won that series. Like they should strip their title because that year." Of that cheating scandal, they won the World Series that year. Yeah. So you being a Braves fan, I mean, or how you feel about that, man? Like how they?
I don't think there's any place for that in baseball, obviously, but you can't undo the past. I mean, they won it. You can put an asterisk beside it. But I mean, what else are you going to do? You can't go back and replay it. You can't say, all right, hey, we're going to do a 7-game series between the Dodgers and, whoever was the second place team in the AL. You can't go back and do that. I mean, you can strip them of the title. But at the end of the day, Houston Astros fans are still going to claim that they played it. They still got the T-shirts that say they won it, so all you can do is what you've done. I mean, so many of them were suspended for, half of the season after that, or even the full season after that. But they've paid their dues, and we just have to get past it and just make sure it doesn't happen again.
I mean, I do agree. They should strip the title, but then again, I mean, what good would that do? I mean, like you said, you can't really undo the past, but I mean, like I'm still pissed because we should have won. Like you can hear, like I mean, if you go on YouTube, you can look at you can hear like
yeah,
like you can hear the trash cans banging. Like it's just I don't know, man, because. Obviously, Chapman was closing that game, and there's no way it could have happened because my problem is the Astros players like Correa and Bregman and Altuve. They after they got caught, they acted like shit didn't happen. And they just didn't care after the fact. And then when we played the Astros and Judge, I know he held his shirt like that to copy Altuve. Judge got scrutinized for that, but Altuve apparently there was a microphone. That's why he was. I mean, I don't know if it was true. But that game, he had he's holding his jersey,
Yeah.
And there was some microphone on him hidden. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm still kind of heated, but like you said, you can't really undo the past. Fans still have this world title shirts,
Yeah.
but
Players still have them.
they want it in the most cheatingest, most crappiest fashions.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be an asterisk beside that championship, no doubt. But they won it. I won't say they won it fair and square, but they won it.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. I guess you can say that. So uh who's your World Series favorites this year, man? Or who do you have making a deep run in the playoffs? Like who do you have making a deep run?
The White Sox in the AL, they just look good.
They're nice.
To me. I mean, they have so many young players. And honestly, it's hard to overlook the Giants in the NL. I mean, as much of a Braves fan as I am, I'm also going to be realistic. I mean, the Braves can make a deep run, but I don't see them in the World Series this year. There's too many questions with their bullpen, and there's too many questions with their outfield, too. I mean, yes, we have 5 guys who can start at any given time, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year when Acuna comes back. Who do they re-sign? Who do they let go to make room for Acuna? But the bullpen is really the big question. I don't think they have the depth in the bullpen to make that World Series run. So really, I think it's going to be the White Sox and the Giants, especially with the addition of the Giants of Chris Bryant.
Yeah, Chris Bryant, he's been going off, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's been going off for the Giants, and yeah, it's just obviously I want to see my Yankees in make a deep run, but I feel like we are bigger on bats and not our bullpen. Like our bullpen is nice, but I think we can't. In order for a team to make a deep run, they have to have a solid batting lineup and a bullpen lineup. And I mean, we have an average, I would say average bullpen, but we need to have, in order to make a deep run in the playoffs, every team has to have a deep starting front and a bullpen. And I mean, we had Chad Green, we have Zach Britton from the Orioles, we got Chad, and we have Loaisiga, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, we're okay on bats, believe me. But just the pitching, we played the Boston Red Sox a couple of years ago, and we were up by 8, and our bullpen they came back. Boston beat us 11-8.
Yep.
In the 8th inning, so we need to rally up our bullpen and really get on the business.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing about this 2-game series is both teams are in the same spot. Both teams have amazing bats, lackluster bullpen. So, I mean, I think that's what makes this 2-game series interesting, and I kind of wish it was 3 or 4 games.
That's your daughter?
Yeah, my son.
Oh, your son? Oh, nice. All right, well, I guess that means we're gonna end our show, man. You gotta attend to the fun, man. But no, it was a good show, man. Well, this will conclude our episode of today's podcast. I'm Jordan.
Justin.
All right, man. Well, thanks for tuning in, and please like and share. Keep on sharing, downloading it, and then we'll be back in a couple of days. All right.